If you have a large retaining wall and it has a vertical crack, a crack that is going up and down, not, I repeat, not sideways to sideways, a crack that is going up and down like this one, then you could have a problem with your retaining wall. Now let's take a look at the bottom of the crack. The bottom of the crack will be a little smaller than the top of the crack. And again, if you run into a situation where the bottom of the gap is larger, I'd love to see that because that is a rarity. What basically happens is there is more pressure on the bottom of the retaining wall, but the bottom of the retaining wall usually has a little more support. The footing, for example, usually provides the footing that goes into the ground. You know, a lot of times you have a retaining wall and you can see the top of the retaining wall, but underneath you still have additional concrete reinforcement. And of course you got the sidewalk providing you with a little more structural support here also. So that's the bottom of the retaining wall. Now let's talk about the top of the crack here. I would imagine that this crack is at least a ½ inch wide, but it could be at least 3/4 of an inch wide. But anytime you have a crack that's over a ½ inch wide, I'm even a ½ inch wide. I mean, let's face it, 1/4 of an inch isn't good. Okay, a ½ inch crack is bad. So anything wider than that is just getting worse. So if you have a situation like this, it wouldn't be a bad idea to contact a professional in your area to get a little more input on the situation, and it wouldn't be a bad idea to monitor this crack. So you could take a picture of it, measure it. Let's say it's a ½ inch wide on January 1st, and then next year you measure it again on January 1st, it's still a ½ inch wide. Might not be a big deal. You measure it a year later and it's grown a 1/4 of an inch or even an 1/8 of an inch, or in 2 years it's grown a ½ inch. You've got a big problem. You've got a safety hazard, especially in a situation like this where you have a public sidewalk right next to it. So something like this, you shouldn't let it go, and again, like I tell people over and over again, what does it hurt to get a second opinion? You've watched the video, you got something like this on your property, contact a professional, because who knows, they could do a little chipping, little cutting out of the wall, put some reinforcement in, and you're done with it, and you've got something that's going to last another 20 years instead of another 2 years. So take that advice and do what you want with it. Keep watching our videos, and we'd appreciate any comments you guys have, good or bad.